Welcome to the Open Books Podcast, where we discuss all things going on in the real estate industry, helping you take the road less traveled to real estate success, guiding you to the top 10%. I'm your co-host, Curtis Haddock, alongside this guy over here on my left, Casey Tudor, this gal over here on my right, Brooke Massey, and the one and only managing broker of Bricks Realty, Amiee Stephenson. How are you guys doing today? And welcome, Amiee.
Thank you.
I feel like Amiee really needs an audience.
Amiee, gotta pull that mic up.
Oh, sorry. This better?
Yeah.
She's new.
Got to talk right into the mic, or else Casey will say something when he's mixing the audio.
I just want to make sure people hear what you have to say.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true too, because I'm sure you have lots of good things to say today.
My big question really is, how do you do it?
Oh, that's a...
How do I do it?
We're going to go straight into it, huh? Like, how do you do? What are we even talking about today?
Just how to become a broker, and what it's like, what are expectations, what is the path.
Maybe the type of person you need to be a broker, responsibilities.
Why on earth would you want to do something like that?
Because I think
I
a
get
lot
that
of...
question a lot. It's so funny to me.
Do what?
I get that question a lot. Like, why would you even want to? I'm like, for me, it's like, why wouldn't I want to?
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. It's great. It's great experience. You get to you learn so much. I mean, when I was doing it, you do like, joke about like, man, everyone calls you with the problems and issues and stuff, but you get to be exposed to so much more than you would if you were just doing your own
You do.
deals.
You learn more quicker.
Which is why I ended up here kind of in the first place, I think, because I was doing a lot of almost like broker-like duties before I ever had a broker's license. I got to be a part of so many different transactions. I've seen so many different angles of real estate. And I love watching realtors become successful and learn this industry and change their lives. It's like my favorite thing in the world. And that's what being a broker is all about. That's what I get to do all day, every day, is guide people into their real estate careers.
Well, if I guess first things first, if there's somebody out there, which there's always somebody out there that is wanting to become a broker, or they're yeah. I mean, they all like make the joke like why would you want to be a broker? But I think a lot of people, especially like entrepreneurs, self-employment, 1099 mindset type of people, like had the idea either at one point or still have the idea to become a broker of some sort, whether it's just a broker associate, managing broker, broker owner, whatever the case
Branch
may be.
broker.
But so for people out there who are thinking about it and considering it,
Don't do it. No, I'm totally kidding.
First thing is, what is required for them to even,
The path to becoming a broker.
Yeah, the path to becoming a broker.
That's a good question. As far as the qualifications, they're pretty minimal. All you need is to be actively licensed for 2 years.
Maybe that's a problem, right? Maybe that's the problem. Is that the requirements are minimal,
Yes, and then you have, your 90 hours of additional education. That includes a 15-hour...
And that's just Oklahoma, 90 hours, right?
This is just for Oklahoma. And that includes a 15-hour broker in charge course. And then, of course, you have an additional state test that you have to do, which is quite a bit different than the salesperson exam. It's a lot more critical thinking. Instead of just memorizing facts, you have to actually think about the question and come up with a possible solution.
So they give you like real life experiences.
I don't remember it, but I remember I passed it quicker than I did but maybe it's because I had more experience.
I actually love that. I actually didn't know that about the broker test.
I think
I didn't expect it.
They ask more like application questions, like the settlement statement. Like you have to know almost how to balance the settlement statement.
That makes sense.
No, you have to know like each section, like like the numbers, like 1,400 to 1,500 is title fees, and it's been a long time since I took the test, so that might not be
I don't remember
title
any
fees.
of this.
Yeah.
I don't even much remember that. I do think it was easier just because I'd been in the industry for so long, so I did know a lot of stuff, but it did ask me questions like it would give me a scenario and then have a list of 4 options or solutions to that, and you were to choose the best solution out of that. And oftentimes, none of those were things I would have necessarily personally done, so I would just choose the one that was most likely the closest to what I would do. And I wasn't expecting those. I was expecting it to be more factual, like the sales exam.
Or you get those questions where you get 2 answers that are like, well, you could do both of those and would be the right answer, but which one has the greatest impact and which
Yes.
one is more right.
Well,
you
that's
know?
how those were. Some of them I was like,
Yeah.
well, none of those apply. Or actually, I would do any one of those things. So you really had to think hard about your answer.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's what you have to do as a broker. I feel like in
So
general.
it does make more sense.
You know what I think is interesting? I think you have to be, like we said, you have to be a special person to be a broker. And I think it's funny because when you start recruiting agents, especially people that are new to the industry, they go, well, here's my plan. And it's great. You got to have a plan, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to get my license. And then within 2 years, I'm going to get my broker's license. And it's like, but why?
Yeah.
Like what's your goal? And why do you want to be a broker? And it's like, and I'll be honest, I got my broker's license because I wanted the title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've thought about it just for the title because
And
people
I had
just
to do
think it
continuing
anyways.
education anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, I might as well just get my broker's license. Of course, if I need to use it, I will.
Right.
So I have it.
What are you trying to say?
Backup plan, bro. No, I'm kidding.
I was like, I'm the only non-broker right now on this podcast.
You got a good
I'm in
mentor.
trouble.
You got a good mentor. Help
right.
even getting you a backup plan. Helping
but
you.
you gotta-
Well, I like what you just said. Like a lot of people they have this idea after 2 years they're gonna become a broker. But Amy, like what kind of like real estate experience do you think is like best for someone that has kind of that mindset?
Before she answers that, like when people say that, I just say, okay, cool. I ignore it because they don't know what they don't know. And it's like, yeah, your plan is to get your broker's license after 2 years when you're eligible to sit, but there's a lot more to it than that. And most people, if they've only been in the business for 2 years, they're not ready.
You're
to
gonna be a terrible broker.
Yes,
Well,
they're not ready.
I always too people say that, and it's good to have ideas, but real estate, when you go out there and you start making those relationships, like most of the time you don't know where you're going to end up or what you're actually going to be working on or what your
Things change.
niche.
Your goals
Is that the right word? It just changes. So I always make the funny joke, like whenever I went in full-time real estate, I was stressed the hell out about for sale by owners and doing cold calls, and then all of a sudden I started recruiting a bunch of people. So it's like you don't know what you don't know.
Right. And, I don't think that every person that gets licensed does automatically have an aspiration to become a broker. I think sometimes people really do just want to be in the business. And I think for me, it was more of like a inevitability, if you will. It wasn't even something I focused on in the beginning. I just knew that I was leaving my corporate world. I was going into real estate and I was going to make it work one way or another. And so I delved into many different aspects of real estate. I ended up in a position where I got a title insurance license. I was writing commitments. I was helping with processing. I developed processes that made the entire office better. So I was throwing myself into anything real estate related I could because I just knew without a doubt that I was going to make it work. And so the broker thing for me kind of became more of like an evolutionary thing for me.
Sure.
It was like a natural progression of my career.
That makes sense.
Because of the experience.
And you did a
that
fine job at doing those things, and it made sense for you to progress or to evolve into getting your broker's license.
How many deals have you been associated with? Well, first, when did you
doesn't
start
know.
real estate?
There's no
and then
way
how
she
many
knows.
deals?
The last time that I took a look at that, honestly, was probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
And at that point, I had already been party to over 2,000
over
transactions.
2,000. That was
crazy.
it. I thought it'd be more than that.
Well, a direct party, and that's not even counting just, questions and
Great.
just a direct party. So I had done a lot of different things at that point.
Gotcha.
So, and it kind of leads to the whole relationship thing too, because I was involved in all of those different things. And I'm a hard worker. Anyone that knows me knows that. I honor my commitments. I'm responsive. And I think I developed like this respect for other people in the industry. And that made a big difference for me getting a broker position as well, because people knew me from all different aspects in the industry, title companies, lenders, other real estate agents.
Yeah.
And they respected me because they knew that I was always going to do the best I could, and that I knew what I was talking about.
Well, just so you know, we have a lot of agents that will reach out to me and complimenting you and your just availability, the way you get back with people and answer questions. And, sometimes it's even people that you're not even the broker to their office. It's other offices that are comfortable reaching out to you. And so you have done a really good job of making yourself available, and people notice, and they say it. And I think that is super important, especially for, what our brokerage is trying to do. And we're trying to be the best support brokerage and mentorship brokerage for all agents, from new to experienced alike. And so, you get a lot of compliments. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah. Appreciate that. And that's something I wrote down too. It's not obviously like we're trying to build something special collectively here, not just for bricks, but for the entire industry. Because the more people that we can teach the bricks difference to, the better off our entire industry is, even if they don't end up with us or stay with us.
Absolutely.
Part of the bricks difference that I like to talk about too is the way that we separate our roles as a company. Because, and I always tell everyone I talk to about real estate this, like, there's no right or wrong way to do real estate. Like, if you want to, you can do it however you want. You can go get whatever commission split you want or whatever tools you want from whatever brokerage. But a lot of the times you have the broker he's the broker, he's the owner, and he's generally the top producer. And so they're stretched really thin, and they're your direct competition, and everyone's got to make money, and they can do whatever they need to do, but we try to split all those roles up, and then that way people have better access and get better help.
Which is another thing I really love about bricks, because they do that, because I don't believe that you can be really a super effective broker if your main focus is all about production for yourself.
Because you're going to be gone all the time.
Then you're not available to the agents that need you. And that's
only
the
worried about your
quickest way
business.
for a new agent to feel unsupported and alone and leave the industry.
I just always say, like, just the more you can work together with just people in general, whether at the same brokerage or not, even if you're in a transaction and working together. And like, I've had transactions where the other broker came in and, wasn't been very appreciative sometimes of how they interact. But I always know whenever we go, we have a team, and we have the same common goal to get to the closing table. So at the end of the day, we're doing this for our clients. Because if we don't have clients, then none of us are going to be able to do anything. And so just having that philosophy and just all of us just working together, again, to just change the real estate industry, I think is just awesome.
I agree.
So going back to my question about like what kind of experience and stuff like that. So you pretty much said, like, you just like threw yourself in and was involved in as much as possible.
Yes, I wanted as much information as I could. I wanted to learn as much as I could. I was willing, a lot of people, especially if they're aspiring to be a broker, they think that certain tasks or questions or responsibilities may be beneath them, and I've never felt that way. I've always understood that it's a machine, that there's a bigger picture, and I'm willing to step in anywhere needed in order to get the end result, like creating this machine.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I'll always be that way.
Yeah, like what's that saying? Like, don't ask someone to do something if you're not willing to do it yourself, or something like that. Like, it is all working pieces and stuff. You go
unless
help
it's
somebody
something
over
I don't want to do.
Do it,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
There's a lot of companies out there, and I really respect this, but like if they hire a new CEO of, say, like a restaurant chain, that CEO starts out doing dishes. And then they move to the food line. Then they move to serving tables. Then they move to bartending.
I think that's smart.
They basically, now it's a fast track, obviously, but it's to get them associated and know exactly how the processes of the entire company is ran.
Yeah.
And that is so smart compared to having a CEO coming in and be like, oh, I'm going to change everything about this because I think and it's like, but it was working.
Yeah.
And they're making money.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Southwest Airlines kind of do that?
Yeah, we've talked about that. That's a good case study. Southwest was a good case study when I was in my master's program at OU, because they were one of the only airlines that was profitable for decades. When all other airlines were operating in the red, Southwest was profitable, and it was the way that they trained their employees, the way that they treated their employees,
no one hated their job.
No one hated their job,
Yeah.
the way that they treated that passed down to how the employees treated the customer, and then their business model of quick flights, quick destinations, quick turnover. The way they boarded the plane was there's no assigned seat, so you just line up, get on, get off, and then you can turn. They realized that they could get one more flight a day by doing that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it saved time on the boarding process, and so they were able to get more flights, and then the quick short flights allowed them to not spend as much money and time on long flights. Like that's why you can't find like direct flights for Southwest from East Coast to West Coast.
Right.
They just don't exist because they only do short flights and they pick people up on the way, you know? And then whenever the original CEO owner, I think it was gosh, what was his name?
That one guy,
No, I was going to say Gary Keller, but I'm like, you guys know that's our industry now.
That's Keller Williams.
Yeah. CEO.
It's Robert E. Jordan now.
Yeah. CEO of Southwest. It was Herb Keller.
Herb.
Yeah. And the guy was a genius and really was creative. He was almost kind of like the Apple guy. Steve Jobs, yeah. Maybe not as charismatic and as big of a personality, but when it comes to how his brain thought, he was a genius. Well, then as soon as the first CEO took over, it's like, I don't know if it's a pride thing, if it's ego. It's like they feel like they got to put their stamp on it. And it's like, man, as a CEO, just manage. If it's working, just manage what's there. And that would be a good CEO.
Appreciate it.
Must be an
a
ego
smooth
thing.
system.
It's got to be like, oh, this could be better if we do this and that. It's like, but you're doing better than any. And now Southwest is just, they're still a good airline, but man, they now have more delays. They have more issues with their maintenance. They have the way they treat the customer. It doesn't feel the same. Like they're not like for the customer anymore. It doesn't seem like, they used to like tell jokes on the plane, like before every fly, and that doesn't happen anymore.
Sure doesn't.
And it's like, I don't know, the whole culture.
Toilet paper roll game.
Yeah. The whole culture has changed, and so I think I don't even know how we got into this discussion of swapping out CEOs and egos and stuff, but like being a broker,
the
machine and making it work, and
well,
it's about the people.
This is kind of where we are going with it, and this is my last analogy. There's a guy who he was working on an assembly line, and I don't know the company name or anything like that, but basically his job was to it was very simple. It was like to thread some bolts onto some bolts or something like that. Nuts onto some bolts. And
thread some bolts onto some bolts.
I was like, man, that sounds complicated.
But what he did was, it was not his dream job. But he somehow refined the process and was able to get like 4 times as much during a day. And so then that was noticed. So most people are going to just do what they have to and take as long as they can.
Oh, yes.
And stop. Well, he made it a game. He was like, I'm going to challenge myself because this job is really boring.
Yeah, because
and long story short, he ended up becoming a CEO of that company because he kept getting promoted. And every time he promoted, he was doing more than that was required. And he was developing. So that's where I was going with Amiee. Like, that's the kind of broker you want, because whenever she was doing just transaction coordinating, that's not a really like glamorous title, but if you can refine a system, then you can make it better, faster. You make your agents more money, then they bring in more deals, and then next thing you know, you've touched over 1,000 deals in a year.
Yeah,
and then you have the experience.
Yeah. So now here's a good question that you can ask yourself: if you have any ambition of becoming a broker, what kind of employee are you, or agent? Are you one that when you have, like, even when you have customers, whatever job that you're doing, are you one that complains and tries to find shortcuts, tries to, just do the bare minimum just so you can collect the paycheck? Or are you the type of person that goes above and beyond for your client, that will make sure you do the right thing every time, even if it requires extra work from you? And even if you can get away with not doing the extra work and still close the deal, but it's not always in the best interest of your client, and you have to just do a little bit extra. Like, what type of person are you? And answer that question. And if you're the latter, if you're the person that goes above and beyond, takes care of your customer, that will go the extra mile, even when it's inconvenient for you as an individual, then maybe you have what it takes to be a broker, because those are the types of qualities.
That's definitely me. I've never only done the bare minimum of any job required. I've always wanted to give 110% even.
Yeah.
Always wanted to
even
do
if
more.
you're at the bottom of the barrel in the eyes of society when it comes to like whatever your job is. Like,
even when I worked at Taco Mayo.
Yeah.
You have to
that
start
mindset.
somewhere.
Yes.
You either have it or you don't.
just like that guy. Yeah, just like that guy on the assembly line or whatever. Like, are you taking this job like, I am here to make this company better, and I am fortunate that this company is giving me the opportunity to make a paycheck and earn a living and to better and to build something for myself? Like, is that how you're looking at it? Or is this just a job? Even if it's just a job that you're passing through and you're in college, or it's your entry level job and you're aspiring to go into other industries or fields. You're creating habits, and the way that you work now is really indicative of the type of leader that you're going to be.
Yeah, do you show up every day and that's it and that's all you do, or do you show up every day and then try to learn something, or show up every day, try to learn something, and maybe try to make some of the process that you do every day better?
And when you get your work done, and are you on the computer playing games, are you watching Netflix? Like, are you obviously
TikTok for show.
Yeah, obviously we all like take breaks, and we can't be 24/7 just work. But when you have those opportunities to go the extra mile, are you doing it? And if you're not that type of person, then maybe being a broker is not for you. And if you just want the title, fine, that's a different conversation.
It's not like go the extra mile like one time.
Yeah.
It's like go the extra mile, not every day, I wouldn't say that even, but like
Every opportunity.
Yeah, if there's an opportunity, you go the extra mile.
Yeah.
So
Well, I even learned that broker is not a great title for a realtor who's trying to sell, because the public needs to understand what your title is. And if I tell everyone I'm a broker, well, I could be a broker for Wall Street. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
I could
glad
be
you
a
brought
mortgage
that up.
broker. Like, I'm a realtor.
yeah, because the perception, I think, is sometimes wrong. It, like, even when I go meet clients and they're like, yeah, someone came over and they're like, I think they were a broker. Like, sometimes people are just confused in general of what a broker is. When I was getting my real estate license, I had no idea what a broker was. I had a bunch of broker questions, and then I failed my test, and I was like, what the heck is this broker person? Like, what's the difference between a broker and a real estate agent?
Yeah.
But
Not to mention that it gets confusing, because in a lot of literature it refers to an agent as a broker.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was at
It's a lot.
this arcade with my son over the weekend, and he got tickets, and we walk up to the counter, and by the way, that would be the worst job in the world.
Which
Being the prize ticket counter?
Yeah,
Person at the
watching these
arcade?
kids
They got
go.
machines now,
I want.
just stand there and wait. Yeah.
Oh man, I think I would enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't
I
have
would be
enough.
like, man, you
Didn't
want
they have
this
a
cool
breakdown?
spider? Like,
So-
well, look at this spider, and I'd play with it.
Yeah, so we had a girl. Yeah, so that's good. So we had a girl that was standing there.
Maybe that's why you're a leader.
She was so put off, like,
Oh,
oh
she hates
God,
her life.
here we go again. It's like Bad Santa, like Billy Bob with the kid on. He's like, what do you want, a snot rag? but anyway, so she's like, I'll be right back. She just left and like went and took a
What?
break or whatever while. And
She went back.
Never
to
came
that.
fair
back.
enough. No, this other guy came back and he goes, have y'all been helped? And I'm like, and he was like probably 15. And we were like, yeah, she had to go. He's like, oh, she's not coming back. I'll help you. And I was like, okay. And
He already knew.
but he was so cool. Like, he was like, oh, you've got this many tickets left. Do you want this? And he'd get it out and show me. He's like, or you could get this and this. And like he was, and I was like, bro, you're going places.
Yeah,
man.
it makes a.
He was like, thanks,
It's that's a huge difference. Just like just waiting for them to tell you versus like, okay, like showing them, here's your options. Like, man, what a different experience for the customer.
Because he was like, I want that. And it's like, well, that's 1,000 tickets. You only have 50 left.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
to do that every just every day, but every time a customer comes up, takes a very special person, which is why most people, they want to be the leader, but they don't want the responsibility of what it means to lead.
Well, yeah, that, and I think sometimes their mind is just in the wrong spot. They're thinking about different things. So the difference between those people, that girl that was there, she was probably just thinking, again, our minds think negatively. Oh, I have to be here for another 3 hours. When do I get off? What can I do to get off?
Kid that doesn't know what they
another
want.
Annoying screaming kid. Well, not all kids are screaming and annoying.
I don't think I'm feeling well.
You know what I mean? And so, like, her mind, she just was thinking about the wrong things. Where the other guy, he's like, I got to do this anyways, right? So why not have fun with it at this point?
That's how I feel about
different
life.
mindsets go a long way.
Yeah.
But that's a great example. And again, you just have to ask yourself, in those types of jobs and situations, we probably have all been in them, what type of employee were you? And that really will help determine if you're going to have what it takes to be a leader. Doesn't mean you can't be a leader, but will you be an effective leader?
Yeah, well, and Amie's job, there's always a difference between being a manager and being a leader. Mm-hmm. Well, Amie's got to do both of those things.
Yes. And sometimes it's hard. It's way hard to balance both of those.
It is. Which is another reason why I like Bricks, because we share in those responsibilities, and it helps so much.
I don't find
I'm like, ooh, you need managed.
I have a team.
Call Amy.
I'm just so glad that it's called Amy and not called Curtis anymore.
Yeah.
Like, woo. But somehow I still find myself busier than ever before.
Well, because you're
that will
still
never
the mentor.
change for any of us, no matter what
It's
we're
never
doing.
gonna change.
We
Yep.
pass things off, and then all of a sudden,
Then there's more for us.
there's more to do.
Yep, always.
And that's what's hard to swallow, especially for like your support system. It's like, it's like they finally have to understand, like, it will never end.
No.
As long as
Not
you
if
want to
stay
make an
successful.
income.
Every successful entrepreneur is always at least 40 hours behind on work.
Yeah.
Always.
And that was Fortune 500 companies, right? Successful CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are average of 40
Maybe.
hours behind.
I don't know
I'm pretty
that.
sure that's what the
book said.
what it said, yeah. And so we're
not Fortune 500 yet, but
No.
by golly,
Getting
we're
there.
But based
following
on-
those protocols.
Yeah, but based on that, we're gonna be one.
Yeah. Like, what happens if you're 80 hours behind?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I'm approaching that. I feel like not 80, not 80.
I really respect like those leaders that I see. Like,
Thank you.
Like, yeah, you're welcome. Well, those
leaders, we didn't specify Curtis.
I'm going with this dude.
Okay.
So I see these leaders that are 40 hours behind, but yet they eat healthy, they exercise,
Check.
they're ripped.
They
Check.
they choose their stress level.
But they still manage to manage their own lives and not like let everything else go, which I've been very guilty of, because you get so busy, you get home, have some drinks, and then that equates into not working out, and then you start getting a belly,
you order Taco
you start
Bell.
getting tired.
Are you trying to say that I'm not ripped? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
No, that's what we heard you say.
Yeah. No, I said check. I got all those. Check.
Yeah, he's
check.
super ripped.
No, it's hard. It's hard to be able to manage all of that, and I actually remind myself and tell myself, like, when I am leading and coaching people in real estate, and when I see how difficult it is for them, and when they struggle, and I'm just like, gosh, if they could just get the motivation to just do it. It's not hard, I mean, it's hard, but like, just do the work. And then I remind myself, like, man, well, I struggle with the same tasks and things you got to do with some of the other stuff with life, because when you can find ways to do all of that. And I'm getting better at it, but it does help your stress levels and your overall mental state of mind and everything.
Do you remember when we first started Bricks over here, and whenever we realized we had a shower in our spot?
Yeah.
And I said, you know what me, you and Nick should do every morning? We should get here at like 6 a.m. and go running together every day.
I don't remember you saying that.
Both of you guys laughed at me. Because I'm thinking, we could do that and then come back. Like, we could run and have her like talk and do that thing and then come back, shower, and get to work.
Yeah.
And you guys are like, no.
Yeah. Because there's only one shower.
Well,
it's three
we can be
guys.
efficient.
We could be efficient.
Yeah, we've done it
You
before.
guys
We've all
take
played
5 minutes to
sports.
get dressed.
Yeah.
I was like sitting here, I was like, well, why haven't we came up with that idea now that I'm here? But then I was like, no, I don't want to have to get dressed. That's way too long to do that up
your
here.
hair and all that.
Yeah, it's well, and even though guys can get ready faster, just my routine and everything I got to do with all the stuff I have, it's just
Well, and I'm
I
not
need my
complaining
thing
we
in
never
my
did that.
places.
yeah.
Amy, tell us more about you, because
Yeah, I was like, what about
What does your day look like as a
Yes.
broker?
So people ask me sometimes, they're like, what do you have going on tomorrow? And I'm like, who knows?
Yeah.
I'll find out
It's
when
hard.
I get in there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a certain amount of admin responsibilities that I have every day because I do work in an office environment as the broker. And then a lot of it is just taking phone calls, answering questions, responding to emails. And then I always try to spend some time just coming out and talking to the realtors and associates and engaging with everyone, because I learn, again, every single day just from hearing about what other transactions that are going on. There's always something new to
I love that you just
find
said
out
that.
about or learn about, and get to know my agents, because I feel like I can effectively manage them and guide them better if I understand who they are as
Right.
a person. So I really love getting to engage with all my realtors.
by the
People
way,
ask me,
I sent you a doc yesterday I need you to sign.
I'll do it after the podcast.
Yeah.
even working on the podcast?
That's funny. No, I mean, I know, I struggle with even telling my wife what my day is going to look like, because we once a week on Sunday we'll get together and say, okay, what do you have going on this week? And I go, well, here's what I currently know that I have going on, but what I have going on tomorrow could be completely not on my radar, and I have no idea, because sometimes stuff comes up that has to take priority over what you were planning on doing, and it completely changes your day.
I think that's the hardest part of real estate.
I think so too. Yeah.
Just being organized, because I think so many people I just want to have a plan,
Yeah.
and I want to do this today, and then the chaos comes up, and then
Yeah.
it's I don't get this
Used to.
done, and it's
Well,
I had to get over that.
Yeah.
It's crazy how,
Takes time.
if you look at my schedule next week, for the most part, it's empty. Right?
Knock on wood.
Which is but that's scary, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
that's not good. But then it's every day, it's the
it
next
starts
2 or
to
3
fill up.
days, and then it's next thing, Claire's what do you got going on today? And I'm like, not a lot, but someone calls me. Well, sure enough, someone calls, and then you've got work to do, and then
Yeah.
it's sorry, babe, it's gonna be 7:30.
I think it has to be like that, though.
Well, that's just the way it is.
It's
is.
just it's so
Things come
sometimes immediate, but not. It's so weird, because I remember one time I had consecutively, I was booked out for 2 weeks
Yeah.
consecutively for a little bit, and it was hard.
It's
to
hard because you
just-
can't squeeze any of the last minute stuff in.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, it's really hard. Yeah, because you don't know when the last minute stuff's going to come in, when you're going to get a call that someone needs help with their stuff. And I was going to say, again, if you're trying to figure out if you want to be a broker, not even a broker, if you want to be a team lead or lead
same
other
difference.
agents, okay, then you have to be how do you respond when you have a schedule and you have, let's say your whole day is planned from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and you know exactly what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, and then all of a sudden in the middle of that day you get a call and you have to deviate from that plan, and now you can't do your whatever you were planning on doing from 2 to 4 o'clock because you have to leave and go either because someone wants to go look at a house, or an agent needs help writing a contract, right? How do you, and if you're not leading other agents, the way you can determine is how do you respond when a client calls you at 6 o'clock at night and they need to go look at a house right then. Are you the type of person that will make excuses and not do it because it's interrupting your TV time, your dinner time, your whatever it is? Not to say that you can't manage your schedule
set
appropriately and set
but
boundaries, but
You have to be willing to deviate.
you have to be willing to deviate, and when those things happen, don't complain about it, just do it.
Yeah.
So if you can't, then you should probably really reconsider whether you want to be a broker, managing broker at
Yeah,
at
and
that.
this is my advice to everybody, and I learned this to agents and to the public. I learned this when I was a barber. If someone calls me at 6 o'clock, they want to see a house at 7. That depends who you are.
Yeah.
And how you treat me, because I've had someone before go, "Hey man, I need a huge favor. I will tip you really well if you can just meet me Sunday morning because I got this big thing for church or whatever, and I need a haircut." Blah blah blah. They gave me, instead of giving me 5, they gave me 10. I'm like, that is not what I thought or had in mind.
Yeah.
And I did that. I went to a guy's house because he broke his leg, and he told me he would take care of me. Of course, I was young, and I didn't say, "Well, I'll come to your house for $100."
Yeah.
You know, I just assumed he would.
Well, it's one of those things where you learn, and now when he needs a favor, you're doing
and those clients that would come in, if I charge $30 for a haircut and they hand me a $50 bill and they said thank you, or if the client no-showed me and then they still Venmo'd me the money plus an extra 20 because they felt guilty.
Yeah.
If they need on Sunday or they need me to squeeze them in on a tight schedule, done.
You're not even thinking about it.
But if anyone is complicated, sorry, I'm available next week. And so you got to think, if you're trying to buy a house with a realtor, you should probably think about treating them kindly. And if you're a realtor, you should try to think about how to treat your colleagues, so whenever you call, they want to answer your phone call.
Yes.
I've got a list of agents like Bree Green. If she calls me, I'll answer if I'm laying in bed because she's not going to inconvenience me.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
or
that's a
give
big
me
one
some
right there.
sad story.
You
I can
gotta
answer
treat
Amy. I can
people
answer
nice.
Curtis.
I would say what you just said, and Amy, tell me if you agree, but would be ultimate if you're going to be a broker one day, because now you're going to be dealing with those people as issues come up for the office, and if you have a good rapport and a good relationship with somebody, I feel like you could get a lot more done for your agent of being the broker.
That's why it's so important. And Angie, my twin, she always says that I'm
You have a twin?
very She always says I'm very diplomatic, which I didn't understand what that meant for a long time, but I know what she means now, because I treat it's diplomacy. It's the way I treat everyone the same, whether it's an agent or a broker or a title agent, and that has earned me a reputation of being easy to work with no matter what the circumstance. And so I feel like people do answer my calls where they may not answer other people's calls, and that's other agents, realtors, and other industry professionals.
Well, and being diplomatic also will, give you respect whenever you have to make a difficult decision, and that decision is not what that person necessarily would want. If they know that you're a fair person who looks at all angles and all sides,
Absolutely.
when you make a decision, it's like, okay, I can respect that decision, versus getting mad because you decided it not in my favor.
Which is why I'm
or
still
something.
on basically, even hugging terms with people I have literally fired from working with me for various reasons.
You do a really good job. I've noticed you sit and you listen very, very intently and ask very good questions. And I can always tell that you're really trying to understand everything and really what's going on before you even speak of what's going on after that. So I love that.
I think it's important before you try to come up with a solution, you got to try to get as much information as you can.
Yeah.
And even as
Especially in real estate, because even the tiniest of details
Makes it
changes
left
the
out.
yes. It
'Cause it always
changes the
is.
entire solution. Even if it's a
does.
client that says something very small, if you're thinking about it like and you're talking to your broker, tell them about it,
Yeah,
But-
and if somebody calls in with a complaint on one of our agents, and Amy, you can tell me if you do this the same way, but I don't take my agents at face value, and I don't take the clients at face value until I get the other side of the story, because everyone tells the story from their perspective, usually from their perception of them being a victim.
Yes.
And they're not necessarily doing that on purpose. It was just their perception of the miscommunication of whatever transpired. But whenever you hear both sides, then typically you can usually see both sides, right? And one thing that I always will do when it comes to talking to, whether it's to clients or other people at other companies, whether it's a vendor or an agent, I will always defend our agent. And I will admit if they were wrong, but I will still come to their defense. And then behind closed doors, if we need to have a discussion, we're going to have a discussion.
That's pretty much exactly how I operate, and I don't defend them to the point of being a jerk to the other party either.
Right.
Like, I'll even tell the other party, like, I appreciate this information and this discussion we've had. I am going to need to make this other phone call or have this other meeting because I'm going to need to talk to the other parties involved to get all the information. So I don't try to throw out solutions, right off the bat without talking to the other party first.
Yeah.
But I will defend my agent specifically if the other party is, talking trash about them. And I know that person. I'm like, well, that's not everyone's experience. I realize you're angry, but let's take a step back and talk about the situation so I can find out what's going on and possibly help resolve this. Like, so I try to put a stop to it.
When you want to find out if your agent is at fault, what's the best way for us to get them out of it?
Yeah.
Instead of just protecting them at any cost, know.
Well, and I'm sure too, like a lot of the phone calls that you get, it's at a point of emotional distress.
Yeah.
And so you got to kind of fight through that as
Fun
well.
stuff.
I've done that too, where someone's doing that to me. They're like coming at me real hard about something, and I just go, "What do you want? Like, what result do you want out of this conversation?" And half the time they don't even know what they want. So now I know they're just wanting to complain, which is fine. But now at least I know
they're venting
where they're at. Yeah. Or, oh, you want 25% of that deal because you feel like I took it. If I give it to you, will you leave me alone? Yes, I will. Okay, great. You got it. Send me a compensation agreement.
Boom.
Done.
What do you think is probably the most challenging thing as a broker? And it may be that what we just talked about. But what do you think? Because we've talked about positive things, but what do you think is the most challenging part about being a broker and or becoming a broker?
Well, becoming a broker, I said, really the qualifications aren't that difficult, so that's not that hard. Now, being a good broker, as we've already talked about, is a little bit different. You need a lot more experience than what you get just being eligible to become a broker and hold that title. What was the rest of the question?
Just whatever challenges you have, like either as you became a broker, maybe some of the things that you struggled with becoming a broker, and then in your current role now that you've been doing it for a while, what challenges do you see now?
Or like, I think she was saying, what's the biggest challenge, like the most challenging part of
The most challenging part is definitely the agents, because I do care about them, and like there's so many different changes and fluctuations in the business, and part of what I do as a broker is not just helping guide them, but also being like a support system. And whenever you're already putting out fires often as a broker, and then you're at this point whenever, like last year, having a 30-year low in real estate, and you're literally talking people off the edge, and these are people that in your heart can be amazing, and you want to do everything you can to support them and guide them, and it's just hard to see them struggle that much. It hurts my heart.
Yeah, it's the self-sabotage. It's the, hey, like, don't do that because of this, and then they go do it.
And then, of course, being available, I try to be available so much, and I feel guilty when I'm not. Like, a couple days ago, I had a bad headache, so I ended up leaving at like 1:30, and I was like, I have to take a nap because I've got to do something about this headache. I must have missed 18 phone calls and 9 text messages.
Oh, dang.
And I did.
It was
take
like
my
an hour and a half, though.
Yes. So, because that's what happens. You can have nothing going on. No one needs you.
It's always
for
whenever
4 hours, and the minute that you back off for just a minute, then
when it comes in.
It just hits the fan.
Yeah.
And so then I spent the next hour returning calls, making sure everything was okay.
For future reference, I know that can happen sometimes, and if you just ever take a screenshot of what you have and just forward it, and I'll let you know if like what I can take care of and stuff.
Appreciate
so I think
really
that
felt like it was kind of a chill day anyway. I was like, I just need like an hour. It's going to be fine. It's just need an hour.
Yeah.
Amy, you cannot take an hour for yourself.
But,
as soon as you say it's going to be a chill day.
I'm just kidding.
Yes, as soon as I say it's going to be a chill day, it's going to be the most intense day.
I've been flooded with calls and texts before, because I think we're all the same. It's like if you go away from your phone for a few hours and come back, it's like, oh my God.
And
it's always when you don't want it to happen.
Yeah, and then but half the time you return all that, and then you go, what was the point of any of that? Like, no, did anybody really want anything?
It's like busy work sometimes. I get it.
It was mostly stuff that did not have to be handled, and yet I still felt so guilty
because you don't know. You don't know.
No.
But it's as simple as someone saying, on a Facebook lead or something. It's like, is this house still available? And you're like, yes. Are you interested? And then they never say anything.
Yeah.
It's like, so, that took 5-10 seconds to deal with, but you do that times 100, then you spend an hour doing nothing.
How do you guys...
it's a numbers game, but...
How do you guys feel about this? I mean, because what you're talking about is, I think, a challenge for a lot of leaders and brokers, and and I think there's tons of books out about the bottleneck that, as in a leader position, that you get these bottlenecks of like whether it's work or people coming to you for solutions, and I think something that can really help with that is when somebody comes to you with a problem, if we can, as leaders, try to say, I need you to come to me with a solution, like with your problem and a solution, and then we talk through it. It might help prevent a lot of people coming to you, because when you're so readily available like we are, because I think that one of the best things that we do, one of the best things we do is we are in the room with everybody, and we show that we're available. And so if you're working on something and the person that has the answer is sitting next to me here on the couch, it's so easy, instead of taking the time to find the solution, to say, hey Casey, what about this, whatever the question is. And if we can either have a policy that I would encourage leaders and brokers to have some sort of policy about how agents are to approach you, and like, do they need to come with a solution instead of just the question, number one, which we might want to implement. And then it does, yeah.
It could be something as simple as, and this one drives me nuts.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead, because there was a second part to that.
Okay, this is just kind of in the middle of that. So it'll be someone saying, hey man, do you have Brooke's phone number? And they're an agent, right? It's like,
yeah.
Okay, so are you really, this is not a top priority for me to give you the number, because if I'm busy, it might be several hours. Or you could be a real estate agent and get on the MLS or on OREC, and you can pull up their number.
Yeah.
And so that's the solution.
Yeah.
It's like if I don't answer you today, where would you get that phone number from?
Someone texted me,
MLS,
do you have the number for GTAR the other day? They need to call GTAR. I was like,
exactly.
Google it.
Yes, like
that's what I'm gonna do.
I was like, I asked Curtis that question the other day.
It's just like,
I'm in here with me, but this person went out of their way from Tulsa to text me.
Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, got you.
I just Googled it.
And then tell me how you guys feel about this as a solution. I think that this could be very effective. And I got this from another broker, and they say it works great for them. With our personalities, and even with you guys as leaders, I think we would struggle with it, especially with the perception that we want people to have, not just the perception, the reality that we want people to have of the support that they get here at Bricks. But this broker, when somebody calls them and leaves whether they leave a message or they send a text with a question, whatever it is, his rule is, I don't respond to them for 24 hours. I wait 24 hours before I even call them back or send a text. And he says, like 80% of the time, he said that those questions are they figure them out, or they answer them on their own without. I think
you could do that in 2 or 3 hours.
Maybe.
I wouldn't go 24 hours, and I would say too, it'd probably depend on what question.
I think you could figure that out.
Like the phone number question, because I do that too every once in a while. If someone asks me like a silly question,
sometimes you don't know the question. They just call you and say, "Hey, call me back."
Oh, yeah.
And he won't do it for 24 hours. He'll call back, and then when he does, it's already solved.
Yeah, that's hard against our philosophy.
It's very hard. Yeah,
because our philosophy is like, if you call us,
the support and all that.
Like if you call me and you don't leave a voicemail or a text message, I assume you called somebody else and got the answer. You figured it out.
Well, sometimes but if you do, and that can be effective, because one of the calls that, it was several calls and texts from the same person that I missed was at an active closing and was panicking and felt they need me because stuff was about to basically fall apart, and for whatever reason they didn't call their team leader. I don't know why, so they were calling me instead, but I was unavailable because I was down with that headache. Well, as soon as I woke up and saw that, I immediately called the guy. Well, I was impressed with what he ended up doing. He put on his big boy pants and he went back in that room and delivered, from what I understand from Christy, who called me afterward to brag about it, an epic speech, got everybody on board and closed that transaction.
Hell yeah.
So, sometimes it can be very effective, because without me as a crutch, he was forced to go in there and figure it out himself.
It's the difference between enabling and empowering.
Yeah, and I tell agents all the time, like, that is part of your learning, right?
Yeah.
You can go find and get all of the support in the entire world. You can have someone go around with you 24/7, but you don't really learn things until you get put in those scenarios.
Do it on your own.
And you have to figure it out. So that's awesome.
I agree.
That's one of the hardest things I think about the mentorship.
Oh,
and
yeah, because it
support
bothers me, because I want to be there for him. Like
well,
you just said,
not that. I think the biggest challenge for the agent who's being mentored is to break away from the crutch. Like, we create this crutch, and I do think we can do a better job of breaking that off and forcing them to, because that is good mentorship, is forcing them to go learn on their own and be on their own and get it done. Because people think that the mentorship is just about like writing a contract and the minimal tasks, like the, not minimal, but like just the beginning task of do this, and this, and it's not. It goes way beyond that.
It's more than just professional. When you're a true mentor, it goes into personal and everything.
Yep. And so I do think that, part of what we teach from a mentorship perspective is getting our agents to understand that our job, it's like a parent, your job is to raise your kids and help them to become successful members of society, or productive members of society, to go out on their own.
Society.
Yes.
That's what
we
Casey
should
said
want
once.
that.
Yes, absolutely.
It's the same thing you should do with your children.
Just got to do it sooner than 18 years.
And past 18 years.
It's a journey.
So, I remember being 20 years old, running around and not knowing what the hell I was doing with life. So,
I mean, because we have some agents, I'm not going to say any names, but that she's been around what we're doing for months and been involved in a lot, and she's just scared she just wants somebody with her all the time. And
that's terrible, because you're going to limit yourself to how much time they can spend with you. That's how much money you're not going to make.
No, she stepped up and then went and did it all on her own, and I think she's motivated. So
you don't always have to do it alone forever. I think people forget that. It's just,
well, if you're not willing to do
unless you want to do that,
you
right?
have to be willing to do it alone.
Yeah, you have to be
if
willing.
If you're not willing to do it alone, you're not going to.
You have to be willing to do everything, right? Just, it doesn't matter if it's alone or what we're talking about. Like, you have to be willing to just go out there and do it. But if you are growing and you want to be a broker one day, well, then you have to be okay with going out there by yourself and learning it, and then realize that as your career grows, as your career grows, you may start adding people to your team. You may start your own brokerage. You may start a traditional team. Like, there's so many different options. So you're not always going to be alone forever, unless you just want to be.
This is the difference between personalities in that regard. I've had agents, I made a contract video so you can go in and watch it and fill it out line for line. I don't leave anything blank. And I'll have one agent, Kylan, and I'm not going to, because he's my good example. I said, hey man, go watch my video, because he's like, it's time to write my first offer. Go watch the video and let me know when you're done. I'll check it. I checked it. He didn't mess one thing up. And he took my guidance and he listened to me and he understood it, because I went and I had another agent say, okay, I watched your video, I filled it out, and then I look at their contract, half of it's blank.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did you watch my video? And they're like, yeah.
Yeah, I've had that too.
I skimmed it.
No, you did not. So.
Yeah, because your video is very thorough.
Yeah,
it is a great tool as a mentor.
Right, but that's the difference between the personalities you work with.
Yeah.
So,
well, kind of just wrapping it up, like, last thing we have is just overall advice for aspiring brokers, kind of like just the segue to kind of end it.
Well, That's a good one.
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, really, you just have to be willing to accept change and to not know what your day every day is going to look like. And that was really challenging for me because I was a very planned out kind of person. And in some aspects, I still am. But I recognize that in what I do now, I have to be willing to do that. I have to accept all kinds of different personality types, even if it's not someone I would necessarily be friends with in like my real life. I have to be able to find a common ground to be able to adequately lead them and manage them. And I try to do that every day to every single person. I treat everyone the same, every new agent the same, and I genuinely just want them to succeed.
I love that.
That's awesome. I think probably the hardest part for me being a realtor and a leader is, especially during sales, is your buyers and sellers are inconvenienced because moving is an inconvenience, which means I'm going to be inconvenienced because they're inconvenienced. So if I'm inconvenienced, then Amy's going to be inconvenienced. And you just have to be okay with that.
Yep. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Or you won't see no monies.
Yeah, that's a big one. And it's hard. And yeah, I can go all day about that. I'm gonna stop talking right now. Yeah.
So really, get involved. It's not just real estate transactions. Like, it's processes, it's admin work. Like, it's real estate. Yes. How does real estate operate? How does it work? How does your brokerage work?
And I wanted to know all of that because I feel that I'm a more effective broker and leader because I understand a lot of the back-end systems and different pieces of real estate that your average realtor and broker don't know anything about.
Or care to learn.
Or care to know about, right?
Yes.
Well, Amy, thank you so much for being here and not just on the podcast, but for what you do for the company. You're amazing and have made a huge difference in what we're able to do. I feel like we have a really strong leadership team, so thank you.
I just feel so lucky to be part of it.
Well, we're the lucky ones.
Yes.
We really are. But do we have a good would you rather so we can wrap it up? Would you rather be a broker or an agent?
Would you rather eat a corn dog or a hot dog?
Corn dog.
From the fair? If it's from the fair,
delicious.
It's corn dog.
If it's from the fair, it's corn dog. Otherwise, it's hot dog. So you can put like chili and cheese and onions.
Yeah, if you're grilling. So that was a good one because that was.
I love corn dogs.
I do. I hate corn dogs.
Oh, I love
what about cheese dogs?
What kind of 628 person are you?
I don't like those.
No, I'm not. I'm not a fan of the cheese ones.
I think it's the cornbread on the outside. I'm not a big cornbread fan.
Oh man, I love cornbread. That's the best part.
I like cornbread only if it's
sweet cornbread.
Yes.
Like literally just came out of the oven, and I cut the middle piece like within 5 seconds, and then I eat that with my
you're
chili.
From Oklahoma, right?
Add
From
orange
Enid?
juice to it.
Orange juice.
I'm serious. It makes
to
it
what?
like
The cornbread?
to your cornbread. Just
Makes
a
it
little
sweet. Yeah.
Frito chili pie.
I'll let you make me some cornbread and I'll eat it.
Okay.
Next time, make a Frito chili pie without Fritos and do cornbread.
Okay, because I don't like Fritos.
It doesn't replace Fritos. I mean, that's still the ultimate.
Fritos are
but it's
okay. They're
good.
just not my chip of
chili
choice.
on top, like you said, chili on top of that cornbread.
I would probably do like a Frito chili pie. I would do a Dorito chili pie.
Yes.
That'd be good too.
I make a
sounds
taco
really good.
salad with cheesy Doritos. That's
Okay.
I love a good like walking taco. Oh, those are so good.
We'll save that one for after the podcast. I have no idea. But anyways, we're
You
gonna.
don't know what a walking taco is?
No, we're gonna talk about it after the podcast.
Yes, about it
They
after.
might need to know.
Well, it's time's
time.
up. I gotta get.
Time's
to
up, Brooke. All right, guys. Well, if you want to know what a walking taco is, maybe come back next week.
Call
we
me.
might tell you.
580-402-77772. I'm not that as.
And if you want to buy a house, call Casey Tudor at 405-595-8902. And all right, guys, we're gonna sign off. And please like, subscribe, comment. That's what the links are for down below. You just tell us what you think or what you want us to talk about, and we'll do it. Okay, signing off. I'm Casey Tudor. This is Curtis Haddock. This is Brooke Massey, and this is our managing broker, Amiee Stephenson.
Thanks, everyone.